Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Labor Day, September 2nd, 2024. I am Dave Biddle, very happy to be joined by Dan Rubin. What did we like about Ohio State's season opener against Akron? What didn't we like? Dan and I are going to get into that on today's show. We're also going to look around the Big Ten, look around college football. How did our friends up north look? How did USC look against LSU last night? How did Penn State look? How did Oregon look? We're going to take a look around the Big Ten and college football in general. Before we do that, I'll let you know about our friends at Factor. Factor meals, I love it. Two main reasons. Taste really good, ready in 2 minutes. I mean, that's to me, that's like all I need to know. It's very fast and tastes great. It's fresh, high quality, tastes great, ready in 2 minutes. As we always say, these are not the microwave meals we grew up on. This is good stuff. Okay, with 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you always have new flavors to explore with Factor. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Like I said, Factor meals are ready in just 2 minutes. No shopping, no prepping, no cooking, and no cleaning up. Now, I should have said I like that too. No cleaning up. You're just done. Throw it in the trash. Head to factormeals.com/Bucknuts50 and use code Bucknuts50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code Bucknuts50 at factormeals.com/Bucknuts50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. All right, Ohio State 52, Akron 6. I mean, yeah, when you start slow, everybody's going to kind of point to that. But I wasn't discouraged by this game. I mean, yeah, I would have liked a faster start, but looking at just it holistically, I'm not discouraged. Where are you at?
You mean like from a general sense? Are you discouraged about the team? Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. Let's first of all, it was 52-6. And I'm no math student, as you can see. I've chosen a sports-related path here, but decent margin. Also, if you watch the game, and let's go back to this one play, I think that they did and we talked about this leading up to it. We had a very, very good source from the Akron side based on what they thought they were going to get from Ohio State, and they got it, which was vanilla ice cream. Everything was vanilla. The only play they ran, to me, that had a little bit of the Chip Kelly, here's what you're going to get vibe. Unfortunately, Jeremiah Smith dropped on like maybe the second or third play of the game.
Right. I
had 4 people, including one NFL scout who was in attendance, and I'm going to be leaning on a lot this year, who said house call. And if you look at it on tape, it was a house call. That was the one kind of like Kelly-ish wrinkle, and he dropped it. So be it. It turns out didn't seem to hurt him later on in the game. I think he missed a few blocks in the first drive too. Jeremiah did. And there was a motion penalty. So that's your 7 points. We did this last year too, when they cut down on the possessions. It's a little bit harder to get to 70 now if you don't score touchdowns on your first 3 possessions. And they didn't. I don't want to sit here and make excuses for them. I just think they were a little bit rusty to start, and they were going vanilla. But I think in general, if I were going to make one general statement, what you saw is that no matter what they do, if they simply just keep leaning on you, they have so many more better players than the other team. If you look at the 2, and I'll use the 2 touchdowns on defense as an example. The play, all 4 guys who were the key parts in the 2 plays were backups. The first touchdown, Heroes Canoe collapsed the pocket, quarterback stepped up, and like a freight train, Caden Curry came from behind and just obliterated the dude. Ball in the air, touchdown, Ransom. Second one, Edric Houston gets a nice push off the edge. Whether it hit his helmet or his hand, you still get credit for the deflection. Caught by backup linebacker. What's his name? Help me out, David. So early on Labor Day.
Arvell Reese?
No. Who scored the
Gabe
touchdown?
Powers? Oh, Gabe Powers.
Gabe Powers. I'm sorry, everybody. Gabe and the Powers family. You have one dinner free on me on that. And then he scored. So keep that in mind. 4 guys who contributed to the 2 defensive touchdowns weren't starters. That is a sign of depth and leaning on them. So very impressive. I'm going to answer M. Habby's question right here. Since when is a hand inbounds not in? This is the Emeka Egbuka play. Well, if you put your hand down on the field, you're still able to. You actually have to put part of your wrist needs to go down.
Yep.
Now look,
his elbow was
if we
down.
got NASA involved in that, I think it was a touchdown.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I do think his wrist hit first, and I do think in the spirit of the rule, that was a touchdown.
I think his elbow got down. I think his forearm got down. You're right. You can't just have your hand down. But
right.
Yeah, if you're,
it's got to be some part below here.
I think his elbow even at one point touched down. It had the one angle. It was super, super close from the one angle. Then they showed the other angle. It was just definitive. That was a touchdown. Everybody agreed with it. The guys in the booth agreed. They had Mike Pereira came in. He agreed. And then somehow we're used to this falling Ohio State. The replay officials screwed it up. I joked. I'm like, it's too early in the season for replay officials to be doing replay official type things. But I think it was the very next play, Jeremiah Smith scored a touchdown. So kind of felt bad for Emeka because he definitely got screwed out of one there. But I will say this. Will Howard, I mean, you look at the stats, it's nothing that's going to blow you away. That's what I wanted to see out of Will Howard, though, because like you're saying, they're not showing all their stuff. He just looks like what I want him to look like, Dan. Like he's got the poise, the leadership, the accuracy. He moves in the pocket well. He can run the ball, something we haven't seen in a long time at Ohio State from a quarterback. So since pretty much Justin Fields, I liked what I saw at Will Howard. That's what I wanted to see out of number 18.
He was better than I thought. He throws the ball down the field better than I thought. A little more velocity. I want to do this without being rude to Kyle McCord because he had a nice game against OU. Threw up some most passing yards he's ever thrown up. Good for him. But there's a certain presence Will Howard has that I can't explain that I like to see. Also, last year, it felt like it was Marvin Harrison and a pile of dust. I'm sorry. Everything started with get it to Marv or don't, and then everything that came off that. If you notice, they really spread the ball around nicely. Everybody got a catch. Everybody got a few carries. Everybody got a few targets. That's how you keep everybody happy, by the way. Everybody gets involved. You know what I'm saying? Yes, Jeremiah is going to get some extra pub based on who he is, but it is what it is. I thought Will Howard looked crisp. And like the running play, that's, the 18-yard run, it just looks different. It's just much harder to defend 9 than it is 8. That's just a fact. And he's good at it. So he has that quarterback presence to him. I don't know how else to explain it. The throw to Jeremiah was what I wanted to see. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude to Kyle, like I said, but I have not felt like that about a quarterback since CJ was here. There was no one game last year where I felt Kyle was as comfortable as Will was over the weekend. I just don't. Now, I could be wrong, and it's going to go wrong, but in terms of just that eye test, that vibe, that the ball getting out quickly, just kind of like I'm sorry to say this about Kyle. I watched yesterday. He stares down his number 1 receiver on every single play. Now, he has got a great arm, and he got it in there, but when I watch, it's just a different style of quarterbacking. So I really enjoyed it. And I got to keep coming back to this. The offensive line was troubling. Those were two, and I want to, if I jump off the point here, I apologize. But Donovan Jackson and Cody Simon were probably 2 of the worst guys for us to lose going into a game like this when you consider all we talked about all year. Well, we're not so sure about the offensive line. And, well, we'd like to see a little bit out of the linebackers. They're not experienced. Those were kind of the 2 hubs. That said, the offensive line obviously is going to be the topic of conversation for this season. But Will Howard, I'll tell you what, there was at least 3 plays I know for a fact Kyle would have been sacked. That Will Howard was not sacked. Yep. One was a 3rd down extension on the right sideline. He evaded it and got it to Jeremiah kind of in the extended flat. He's just a hard guy to bring down and elusive. So very, very impressed.
So we liked Will Howard. I'm getting the vibe that you did not like the O-line. I'm with you on that. I wanted to see more out of the O-line. I didn't think the O-line was terrible. I wanted to see more out of them. I wanted them to be a dominant force, and they were not. And I keep hearing, well, Akron's got a good front 7. It's like, stop it. they might have a good front seven for a MAC team. Ohio State's going to face much better front sevens than Akron's. And Ohio State's goal is not to go 10-2. Their goal is to win the national title. I don't want to hear Akron has a good front seven. So, but again, it does play into Ohio State was vanilla, but I've still got to call a spade a spade. Do I think the offensive line was terrible? No. Am I sounding alarms? No. But I was a little disappointed in the offensive line.
Yeah, the pass protection was great. There wasn't a lot. There was one bust, and the one I'm talking about, it was on the right side, and Howard avoided the sack. The running game, there were a couple plays early on, I think, that are challenging because I think there were some missed assignments. There was one play where it looks like Josh Fryer had the incorrect leverage, and it led to a play. If you go watch Mark's Buckeye in the Sky breakdown of the game, shameless plug, the offensive line did a better job than you might think. Josh Fryer, on that run we're talking about from Will Howard, he literally took the defensive end and pushed him to the other sideline. That's why there was such a big hole there. So you've got to really look at the tape to me to really be able, the all-22, to effectively evaluate the offensive line. Was it the push and running game we are geeked to get back to? It was not. But like I said, I'm going to reserve judgment on that and give them the benefit of doubt just because it's so vanilla.
And Akron was.
Look, it's not the strength of the team. That's another thing we're talking about here. They're so good at all the other positions that when you start to get concerned, you just don't have that many concerns. It's kind of being like a family of 6 and you're the one kid with a 3-0 and everyone's got a 4-0. You're going to take some abuse, but a 3-0 ain't that bad, Dave. We know this.
We know it, right? That's why, as you mentioned to kick off the show, we weren't engineering majors, right? We're journalism majors. One guy I did like, let's go back to what we like. We're going to go back and forth, back and forth. There's more to like than dislike. Arvell Reese, I'll put him in the I love category. Arvell Reese is a dude, and he's instinctual too. You know, he's not just out there. He's a flying around 6'4", 238, fast and physical. He's all of that. But he's not just an athlete out there. He's an instinctual linebacker. Man, I don't know how they're going to keep number 20 off the field. He looks like a dude.
I could not agree more. This was I guess it was a poor choice for sleeper of the year because he's already awake.
That was a good choice.
But I'll say this too. You're talking about a guy who's instinctual at a position he just moved to. And there's our BH item today from the game. Tuesday, we may have one about this, that he's the most natural middle linebacker we had out there. I thought,
yeah,
he's a stud, dude. I mean, he's just really good. I don't know how else to say it. There's not a lot of wasted motion. If you saw, there's not a lot of jitterbug to him. He doesn't look confused. It looks like read, react, attack, very smooth. For a middle linebacker, that's really what you want. I get it. Outside linebacker, you can have those freakish lateral athletes who can make a mistake and be back in time. And he's got tremendous athleticism, but he looks really smooth. Yeah, exactly. Mike Schaefer, good one. First of all, 20 for a middle linebacker is a little bit of a wig out. You know what I mean? I can't remember 20 as a linebacker.
Pete wasn't a middle linebacker, though. I'm trying to think of Ohio State.
Did he wear 20?
Pete Werner wore 20, didn't he? Yeah, I think. He's, by the way, Pete Werner.
Good pro.
Raking in the money. And he was a second-round pick. I don't know why people didn't appreciate Pete Werner. I'll never forget this. Luke Fickell, I was told this story. When Luke Fickell took the job at Cincinnati, he was asked, what's the one thing you're going to miss about being at Ohio State? He's like, never getting a chance to coach. The young man I was just talking about just said, Pete Werner. Yeah, Werner. He said, because Fickell recruited Pete Werner. He said, I love Pete Werner. It's like, that's what I really regret about taking this job. He kind of said that tongue in cheek because they meant just overall being at Ohio State for like 20 years. What are you going to miss? Not getting a chance to coach Pete Werner. Anyway, I think he was number 20, and I think Arvell Reese is wearing that number 20 really, really well. So does this mean we're down on CJ Hicks and Sonny Styles? No, I don't know.
Ron Springs, number 20. Love me some Ron Springs. Don't sleep on Ron.
Yes.
Yeah, and also tremendous cowboy. It was Dorsett and Springs in the backfield.
Yes, that's right.
There's your Cowboys reference for that, or a donk who doesn't like it when I do that. But I digress. What are we talking about?
I don't know. Ron Springs.
No, we were
think.
talking about something good.
No, we were talking about CJ Hicks and Sonny Styles.
Okay, CJ Hicks. I wonder if CJ Hicks is a forward player. When he's coming at you, tremendous. When he's in coverage, it did look like they picked him out a little bit and went after him. Keep in mind, the coach of Akron is a good offensive mind, Joe Moorhead, and had all. This is another thing. When you play someone first, they're looking at your stuff all summer. They have time to pick out a guy they want to go after, etc. I mean, it's obvious that Hicks can get to the quarterback. We knew that. You did a great job of bringing that up as we were getting ready for the season. Like, he has talked about how he's going for the sack title, and he had a shot at it. Maybe the Baron Browning, Ken Taco Hut comparison here is a good one.
I like it. Yes.
Let's get going first, though, dude.
Yeah.
Let's get going. I mean, vanilla offense, vanilla defense as well. I doubt they were super geeked on individual matchups with Akron and such. So I don't see CJ being one of the starting two linebackers, though. Based on Cody Simon and Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese, yikes! I think he may be more.
I like all five of them. They all do something different. Yeah, I like all five of them, but Reese just jumped off the page, jumped off the screen to me.
And we're certainly not going to get. We're certainly not going to get what we got over the last few years, where Eichenberg and Chambers were. I mean, Cody played a little bit, played some, but those two were really the mainstays. If you go look at tackles and plays and stuff, they were really the mainstays. I think they might mix it up a little bit this year, which is good too, considering we get back to the same thing. Long season.
Someone saying Olave's number was 20 when he started. No, Olave was like 18 or 19 as a true freshman. He broke out against Michigan. Michigan's like, who's this guy catching 2 touchdown passes to start the game? Chris Olave. I think he was 18.
Chris Olave.
Before he became CO2.
Chris Olave almost left Ohio State. I thought he was, I think 17, he almost left Ohio State. You know that, Dave.
Almost left Ohio State.
Chris Olave in the first 2 weeks he got here.
I love our listeners. Everybody and their mother is like 17. I corrected the guy
sending a picture of you.
I was wrong.
Let's see a picture of you in the 17. Someone's got it. But he missed his girlfriend when he got here from California. Had never been here before. After 2 weeks, he was about to boogie. He's like, I'll stick it out. And I think he was the 6th or 7th projected receiver in fantasy. And so good for him.
You know what else I liked? Speaking of wide receivers, Brandon Ennis returning punts. Now, he did have the one ultimate. I can't wait to ask Ryan Day this. Was that the ultimate? Like, no. Yes. When he's catching the ball at the 5, running toward the end zone, so going the opposite direction. Was that the ultimate? No. Yes. Was that? No. It doesn't matter the result. You're not catching the punt inside the 5-yard line. But regardless of that, man, we finally have a punt returner, and he's exactly what I want. Is he a 4.3 40 guy? No, but he's got plenty of speed. What does he do? He catches the ball. He's tough. He goes north-south. He has wiggle. He is everything I want in a punt returner. And I think we finally have one after, 10 years?
Great hands. We know this. Also, the play you're talking about, I don't mind the punt returner doing that when he's chasing it down, because once he turns up, he's usually got 15-yard gap. That's when you've outkicked the coverage. Standing on the 5-yard line, catching a bomb in the air with dudes bearing down on you, that's a good way to not be the punt returner the next time they punt. But I like the moxie. You can't put a guy like Ennis back there and then tell him to chill. He's an intense, you can just tell, an intense, tough guy. Certainly making the most out of what he's got. Not the biggest, strongest, or fast. Maybe strongest, not the biggest or fastest. But like you said, Dave, tough and goes north. Those are the guys that in the third quarter of a big game are playing at 100% and smash you, get you a big return. Also, he may not get as many snaps on offense as he would like. And the idea that he can make that position his own, we've needed someone to do that. I watched USC play last night, and having Branch back there, Zion Branch, and the fear of God every time you punt to them. I don't think he's that, but as you said, for a program that's been as good as this has been over the years to not be good at all in returning the ball since Ray Small? I don't want to date myself. I'm trying to think of the last time I was in the house.
Jaylen Marshall. Jaylen Marshall. Definitely. I mean, he had the last one. He was the last one to return one in that Indiana game when he just took it over in that 2014 season where he had the punt return.
A decade ago, though.
A rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown. He also had some good punt returns like in the playoffs that year. Against Alabama.
He was tough.
He had a really good one against Oregon in the national championship game.
Yep.
Jaylen Marshall was an underrated player. I tell you what's not underrated is Babbel. You guys want to learn a second language? Get with Babbel. Okay, Bab. Bab. We're gonna call him Bab now. Bax wanted to learn French. Got Babbel. This is before they were even one of our sponsors, and Bax became fluent in French in about 6 to 8 months, something like that. Just doing a 10 to 15 minute lesson every once in a while with Babbel. 1 in 5 Americans have learn a new language on their bucket list. If that's you, make this year the year you finally check it off the list with Babbel. Fast forward to the end of Ohio State's football season. They're going to win the national championship, right? Think of your goals outside of that, right? What can you do right now to give yourself the best chance of succeeding? If you want to learn a new language, you absolutely should get Babbel. Here's a limited time special deal for our listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/bucknuts. Again, get 60% off at babbel.com/bucknuts. That's spelled BABBEL.com/bucknuts. Rules and restrictions may apply. Babbel es muy bueno. There we go. That's the extent of my Spanish. All right.
Oui.
Let's go. Now we can go back to some stuff that we liked, didn't like, whatever. But I do want to get some of your thoughts on, and I want to talk about some of the teams around the Big Ten. Big Ten looks pretty strong. Michigan doesn't look strong though. Davis Warren is your quarterback. Then they put Alex Orji in there. He's throwing lawn darts. It's going to be a long season, man. It's going to be a long season on and off the field in Ann Arbor.
Am I commenting on Michigan now?
You don't have to.
I watched the game. Their skill players just aren't going to get it done. I wasn't that impressed. We'll talk about Oregon in a bit too, but I just don't see their offense as being, threatening enough. Now I'll say this. Their defense is really good. Like I said this is one of the reasons I think they're going to win a lot of games. If you look at their schedule, who's going to score 14 points on them? That's really what you got to look at. There's not that many teams on their schedule that can do that. Maybe Texas, USC. No, they're about to get boat raced.
They're about to get
boat raced. That's one of those games. Yeah, but if you look at the rest, I just don't. So yeah.
Oregon. Now USC is going to be a problem for them. They probably thought,
Oregon?
USC's going to come here. USC is going to. I know Oregon didn't look either. I know. But
they did not.
But they don't have Davis Warren at quarterback.
No. I'm not talking. I'm not saying in any way, for the record, that Michigan's offense is good. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, instead of winning 32-8, they may win 13-8. You know what I'm saying? Orji throws like his elbows.
That's hilarious. Orji throws like his elbow is dislocated. Oh my gosh.
It does. I mean, I don't want to start to do this because we could spend all day just taking shots. But that's for a team that has 5 quarterbacks better than anyone they have. It's kind of goofy to look at who they've recruited at quarterback. But look, man, this is how it used to be. And we said we're sending them back to the dark ages. People forget, before the last 3 years, this is how it was. They would have a guy come up playing quarterback. You'd be like, he's not that good. They would have receivers they were throwing to you. You'd be like, they're not that good. Why'd they offer that guy? The last 3 years are different. It's going to look like you just kind of like when they lose to us this year, they're going to be what? 3-14 in their last 17 games. Where do you pick in the draft in the NFL after 17 games after you go 3-14? You're going to get a chance to replace Alex Orji at quarterback. I can tell you that much because you're going to be the number 1 pick. I don't know, man. That was kind of fun to watch. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Their defense is good, though, dude. Look, their defensive line is stout. The corner, Watt, and here's another thing. I don't know if you remember this. We used to have in our secondary Denzel Ward, and then a bunch of other guys. And I would say to myself, if the other team throws at Denzel Ward in their first 2 possessions, we're going to win this game by 30 points because they don't know what the F they're doing. Why you would throw in the flat against Will Johnson at the end of the game to try and win, and you're not avoiding him when he's by far their best player, I don't understand. But, yeah. This is not your Harbaugh's Michigan.
No, and they do have some stuff on defense. Yeah, Will Johnson will be the first corner off the board in the draft. And I'm as high on Denzel Burke as you could possibly be. And I acquiesce. I'll say, Burke will be off the board after Will Johnson. Mason Graham, if I could try, I love our defensive tackles. Mason Graham is just he's a line of scrimmage wrecker. He's a former high school, All-American wrestler. I hate talking up guys, but they do have some dudes on defense, but their offense is going to hold them back all year. And it's not just the skill position. What else are they? What's been really their strength offensively? Offensive line, right? Replacing all 5 starters on their offensive line. It's going to be a long. And by the way, the off the field stuff's going to be a lot of fun too to monitor. It's going to be a long season on and off the field for our friends up north.
And I'll make this.
They look good. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was going to interrupt you there. I apologize. But this is another. They flashed the stat of last year's Michigan offensive line up there and how they're all in the league. 2 of them were free agents. 1 was picked in the 7th round. 1 the 3rd. 1 the 4th. You know what they were good at? Being really old because they didn't play for a year and they had the COVID year. That's what they were good at. A group of 24-year-old men up front helps your offensive line. None were big-time NFL players or prospects, in my opinion. 1 third-rounder. If Ohio State's offensive line, on average, was 3rd-round pick, 4th-round pick, 7th-round pick, free agent, we'd be firing the offensive line coach, which I want to do anyway, some people. But I digress. See what I'm saying? So that's kind of trumped up BS in my opinion.
Penn State looked good. I thought that was going to be a tough game for them. I did predict that they would win, but I thought West Virginia would cover. The spread was 8.5. I'm like, I bet you West Virginia covers that spread. No. Penn State 34, West Virginia 12. That's not an easy place to play, West Virginia. And you knew they were going to get up for the game because, Penn State's, just a couple hours away for them, 2.5 hours away, whatever it might be from Morgantown. And it's a tough place to play. They get up for it. And Penn State looks good, man. We knew they'd be good defensively with Abdul Carter. Tom Allen, he might be crazy, but he knows how to coach a defense. He's got all the energy in the world. You knew they were going to be good defensively. They are. They have 2 good running backs. Aller looks like he's improved. They brought this new offensive coordinator in from Kansas. And for those that don't know, Kansas usually not good at football. Last couple of years, they've been good at football. So I think that was a good hire, bringing Kansas's offensive coordinator in. So Penn State looks good.
Yeah, Christopher Sowers had a good point up here. Oh, no, John Abbey is the Michigan fan in here. Here's my question. When will the Michigan fans stop coming to this My prediction is
November 30th.
Yeah,
oh, yeah. Okay.
No. They're not going to be running their mouth after this weekend, dude.
No.
This is the first.
I'm surprised they're running their mouth right now.
There's one in here right now.
I know. I see him. I see him. I almost banned him. But I just let's keep him in.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. We're reeling them in. Reeling them in for the chop.
It's coming.
Yeah, I was impressed by Penn State. Penn State has some dudes now on defense. Number 11, is that Abdul Carter is his name? Whoever number 11 is, he hit somebody during the game, and it reminded me of when Sonny Styles gets there early. The guy's body just immediately goes to the ground really quickly, and the ball comes out. They've got some studs. Penn State does. I don't think they're good enough on the edge offensively to threaten you long term. I mean, every time Ohio State gets the ball, every single time, there's just that fear. You know, they've got a couple guys who can just take the top off. I didn't see that from Penn State. Now, Aller looked good, and he has a cannon now. You could put together a video. He throws that deep out. I mean, he threw one. Now, the guy was wide open, but he has – we know this. He has an NFL arm. He's a monster back there. I will the one point I also kind of really got from our team and seeing everybody else, though, and specifically as it applies to Oregon and the Finley family, who you're familiar with. Ryan Finley's the quarterback of NC State and was drafted by the Bengals. His brother was the quarterback for Akron.
Mhm.
If you drop back 30 times against Ohio State, you're going to leave either injured or less than you were before you got there. I don't think anyone can do that. So I saw that Dylan Gabriel, I think he threw the ball 38 times. If you put Dylan Gabriel 38 times dropping back, he's going to make his share of players. He's going to make his share of plays against Ohio State, but he's not finishing that game. I just don't see it. They are going to get to you eventually. And one of the things is they cover so well, it's going to be that extra little beat for Sawyer and Tuamalo to get there. They looked pretty good now. Let's just be – I know we've given them crap, but in terms of Jack Sawyer gets pressure on the quarterback now. He may not be getting sacks because everything's trained to get the ball out. I think we should just throw a picture up of Finley just looking like, he had an elderly posture to him by the end of the game. So that was really, really encouraging. The idea that you're going to have to throw it to beat us. And if you drop back that many times, you're going to get rushed eventually. I didn't really feel like that anymore. I didn't really feel that in the past, but I really feel like now they've got even CJ Hicks, even the linebackers have speed. You've got safeties who blitz like werewolves. So if you put someone back there 30 times, they're going to get – Gabriel is a good little quarterback. I watched. He did complete a ton of passes.
Good little small. Quarterback. Yeah, he is.
But he's my size. He's my size, literally.
I know.
And I'm sitting here. Don't say I know again. But you were like, yeah, he is.
I didn't mean like you're not tiny. You mean for a D1
I'm just saying.
You're not Will Howard.
He's good.
Yeah.
He's no. I'll show you. I have a picture from the foundation of my wife standing with Will Howard, Jack Sawyer, CJ Hicks, and Jeremiah Smith. By the way, I cut it down after the first quarter and sent it out to my family, and I was like, sack, touchdown, interception. You know what I'm saying? I sent it out. It's like my wife's a good luck charm. No, he's as big as those dudes. When Jack Sawyer and Will Howard stand next to each other, you could make the argument they're both on the defense. And Jeremiah is just as big, by the way. That's good.
I like it.
He's good.
A lot of people in the chat.
We'll talk about Jeremiah at all.
Yeah, when we got to him, it's just crazy. And I love that we finally got a chance to hear him speak to the media. They've been kind of hiding him from the media. We know on the field just how electric he is. I love the fact that he's mature beyond his years. He's humble. I love everything about Jeremiah Smith. It is kind of funny. We're going to remember his first opportunity to catch a ball for the Buckeyes. He drops it. Then he goes on to have a huge day. He's just that one catch he made. Was that one-handed? Yeah, it was. The one guy was like grabbing his arm. The DB was grabbing his arm. Jeremiah just catches it one-handed deep down the field. Man, he's one. It reminds me of when LeBron. There's all the hype of LeBron. I'm not calling him LeBron.
I can't believe you just said that.
Oh, you're gonna.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. And I had it written down.
And I'm not a Cavs fan, but I remember thinking I like LeBron. I remember thinking, crap, there's all this hype. He's got an 18-year-old kid going to the NBA. How's this going to go? And it was a game one I remember watching. I'm like, ooh, if anything, he's exceeded the hype. I think they're playing the Utah Jazz, something like that. They're playing somebody out west. I'm like, damn. And then he just kept on exceeding the hype. And I'm like, I didn't think it was possible LeBron could exceed the hype. Jeremiah Smith coming in the spring, all this hype, can't miss. I'm like, I've seen this song and dance time and time again at Ohio State. Can he live up to the hype? He keeps exceeding the hype, Dan. Sorry to steal your thunder.
That's really awesome. No, that's of all the time we've done the show, I'm not sure there's ever been a time specifically like that off sport where I was going to say, and that's exactly what I was going to say. So the first column I ever wrote, I come from the newspaper business. Oh, my day. People, you kids have seen newspapers.
I do.
You've seen pictures. You've seen pictures. What I was writing about was these things exceed the hype. TiVo. You ever get TiVo for the first time? It was the greatest thing you ever had back then. Number 2, Mardi Gras. You ever been to Mardi Gras? Mardi Gras is, oh, dude.
I've been to New Orleans plenty of times, but not Mardi Gras, no.
I'll just say I'm no longer allowed in New Orleans We were there for 2 extra days. My friend may have been in the OPP. If you know what that is, it ain't a naughty by nature. It's the Orleans Parish Precinct, which is the biggest barbed wire army tent city of jails ever. But I digress. LeBron James was number 3, exceeding the hype. And I'll say that about J.J. Smith or Jeremiah Smith. It just, and you have to go to another sport to get a comparison. This was his first game, and he was clearly the best player on the field. Clearly. I mean, it's not even. If you watch the tape, there are 3 or 4 plays where they could have just thrown it up to him, and it would have been 6 too. I can't get over it. The hands, it's the combination of the hands and the physicality. I get that people are blessed, but his hands, dude, like you said, the one-handed catch, was that a fluke? No, we've seen it 8 times in practice. And by the way, we don't get a lot of practice video. Keep this in mind. You're getting to see like 8 to 10 plays of practice, not 100. And we've seen him do it 3 times. It's Ohio State. You've literally got the best 18 to 23-year-old football players on the earth. And if you ask anybody a question about him, from the equipment guy to the head coach, it's deadpan. Yes, great. No sarcasm. No, like, oh, he's got to learn. You remember you used to ask Luke Fickell, he would just be, oh, he's got to learn in front of 108,000 people. That was never said about Jeremiah Smith. They knew. So I just want to say it again. I know maybe I'm speaking it too much for Jermaine Runnels, but I think we're going to have my son drafted Marvin Harrison in fantasy last night. He also got Garrett Wilson, and it's amazing. I think Jeremiah Smith is even more impressive than Marvin was the first time we saw him. And Marvin, that wasn't even really his freshman year. So, I mean, I can't even. And I got some great stuff from NFL guys who I had told, be ready. And they were kind of like, And then I got back mid first half. You were right. So, and I wasn't right. You know, I'm just passing on the gospel. But wow. And then I said this. He has to play 3 years in college. That's hard for me to get my mind around. Think about this. 2 more years after this. Is that even legal? It's hard for me to get my mind around that. I'm serious. Think about that for a second. Does that even sound real?
I won't be surprised if eventually the Maurice Clarett rule happens.
I didn't want to say it out loud.
Many years too late for Maurice Clarett, but yeah, I won't be surprised if in the next CBA, if they do something about that. We'll see.
Next one, please.
Not this one.
Don't crumble this one up anytime soon.
You're right. I shouldn't have even said anything. Strike that from the record. Yeah, people are wondering about the punter. I don't know. Obviously, McLarty won the job, then had a bad week of practice, so the other Aussie got in there, Joe McGuire. I don't know. That's a little bit of a concern that they don't really know who their punter is. Yeah, McLarty had a bad week of practice. That's exactly right. And, McGuire, walk on. You have Aussie on Aussie crime there, so we'll see what happens. They need to have – it'd be ironic we finally have a good punt return, but we have a bad punter. No, I think they're going to – they have 3 guys there that they can figure that out with, so including the kid from Buffalo who apparently is not in the mix at all, who was Buffalo's starting punter the last couple of years. All right, great stuff from Dan Rubin. Thank you guys for joining us here. Labor Day. Hope everybody, if you're cooking out later, hope you enjoy that. We got football later today. Got some U.S. Open tennis. Good weather here in Ohio. Hope everyone has a great Labor Day. Thanks to Dan. Thanks to all of you. Again, hope everybody has a great rest of your Labor Day.